Praying together as a family.
Oh my.
Is it possible?
Sometimes I feel like we're just praying to make it through prayer time.
Yeah, we're praying a Hail Mary so that we can do our Hail Mary.
And I feel like sometimes we have like the best intentions to sit down and have it to be this beautiful, peaceful moment. And then all of a sudden, like, the kids come downstairs and you realize, that's not going to fly today.
Did you hear the voice of God in that prayer time? No. All I heard was the banging on the door and the screaming from the timeout room.
Oh man.
Let me out!
And then sometimes we sit down and we'll do like the Divine Mercy prayer. And Daphne will be like, it's my turn to start the prayer.
Yeah.
So sweet
So
and
fiery.
angelic.
Welcome to All That Catholic Stuff, Faith and Family. I'm Chris Bray, joined today by my beautiful wife, Katie. And today we're talking about praying together as a family.
Oh man, I feel like
And
most
the madness.
mornings it is maybe controlled chaos, if it could be called that.
It's a gong-show, is what it is.
It is some crazy time in our family.
It's awesome.
We have 7 tips that have really been helpful for us as a family to just really help focus our prayer time. Hopefully they'll help your family.
Before we get rolling into this episode, we just want to do a huge shout out to our awesome Patreons at patreon.com/Chris Bray who've made this episode possible. Thank you for your support, and we'd love for you to consider joining our Patreon community to support our ministry so that we could continue to provide these videos and faith resources to the people that need it the most. You can check out all the info at patreon.com/Chris Bray.
I've got the joy, I've got the joy, yes. Oh, I've got the joy in my heart to stay.
Okay, so how do we develop a habit of praying together as a family? How is it that we can really excel in this? Because for us, for a lot of years, it seemed so dreadful, like this impossible task.
Oh yes, especially too as we had more kids. We have 5 kids, and it was a lot easier to pray with just one, and then you add a couple more kids in there, and it gets more and more louder and more difficult to just really keep attention.
Yeah. And it's something that has to be, I think it has to be worked on. Like, it is a skill that needs to be developed and practiced, and the more that you do it, the better at it that you get.
Yes.
Even though when you're in the midst of it, it might seem a little chaotic and crazy and like, is this pointless?
Totally.
Right?
Sometimes I feel like it could feel incredibly pointless. Like, there goes 20 minutes. What did we really accomplish?
I handed out 4 timeouts.
Yeah, the 20 minute of prayer time actually ends up being like an hour and a half of consequences after prayer time.
That's awesome.
Our first tip for you is to start small. Often I feel like you have these huge intentions, like we're going to sit down and we're going to pray the full rosary with all 5 of our kids, and it's going to be wonderful. It's going to be this great, beautiful experience.
And then we're going to read the entire Bible and then the catechism, and we're doing it all by Tuesday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
Which is great. If you can do that, that's awesome. We're not there. I think it makes sense to like pick goal. Pick something that's like tangible. Like, we can do that. We can set aside 5 minutes and we can say a prescribed prayer, or we can ask prayer intentions, or we can, we can establish something small that we can do together as a family.
Right.
Start small and then build on it.
If your prayer time starts as just a 5-minute time together that you can pray together, that is a fabulous spot to start. And then slowly grow, even if it's by a minute. Go from 5 minutes to 6 minutes, because a minute during prayer time can seem like a very long time.
Yeah. And it might develop in duration. Like, it might start with 5 minutes and then it might turn into 20 or 30.
Yes.
Or you might develop other prayer habits. Like, you might pray not just in the morning together as a family. You might do like evening prayer or something during lunch or at dinner time. Or maybe you'll decide like, well, once a week we're going to go to Holy Hour, or we're going to go to weekday mass a couple of times a week, or whatever it is.
Right.
You can always build on that. But when you start with that foundation, then you have something that you can really develop. And grow into.
If you're just starting to pray as a family and your first week looks like prayers in the morning, afternoon, evening, adoration, that you might be biting off a little too much.
Especially if you've never done that before.
Oh, yes.
Like, your kids might revolt and be like, this is not happening.
That's right.
I remember when we started our morning prayer routine with our girls before we homeschooled. We sent them to Catholic school, and we would always make sure that we prayed with them in the morning before they went off to school.
Yes.
And some mornings the prayer time was great and wonderful. And other mornings you'd see the bus coming down the street and we're like, come on, Father Christ, Amen, get out the door.
We love you. Have a great day at school.
Some days are better than others. We have to start small, and then we could build on it. We can grow with it. Now that we do homeschool, we have more of an opportunity throughout the whole day that we can pray together as a family.
That's right.
To grow upon that.
Our second tip for you guys is explain why we're praying. We explain everything to our kids to the best of our abilities, and we want to tell them why they do things. So if we just say, okay, now it's time to pray,
Yeah.
It's really important to explain to them why we do that.
Yeah, and I think oftentimes prayer is like when we take it on like this can be seen a lot like homework. It's like, well, you just have to do it because you want to be smart and you want to know the information. But it becomes this transactional thing, this like to-do list thing when we can explain, be like, hey, look, Jesus loves us so much. And this is why we want to share with him on our heart and our gratitude for his sacrifice for us. And we want to talk to him because he wants a relationship with us. And it makes it this real personal connection with them rather than just something they have to do to check off their list.
Right. And tell them, it's like when you have a good friend and you want your relationship to get better and to grow. You need to speak to your friend and you need to invest in the relationship.
Yeah. Number 3, establishing a routine. This is something that really helped us, is because our kids thrive when they know what the expectations
What's
are.
coming.
Yes. And so they know every morning, like we start our day in morning prayer. And there's no like more question like, do we have to pray?
They know.
Like it's just like they know like every Sunday we go to mass.
Right.
And there's that expectation has already been set for them. They know what to expect.
I feel like when we first started family prayer time, to really sit down and all pray together, we would just do it kind of on a whim. Okay, let's go. In 10 minutes we're gonna all sit down and pray together.
Yeah.
And it would be like weeping and gnashing of teeth. Like
Yeah.
we just prayed yesterday together.
Why do we have to?
But if they know,
It's just like going to school, or
it's
just
like
going
going
to
to
mass.
school. Eventually, when it actually becomes routine, they don't complain. They'll still complain.
Every once in
it
a
will
while.
be less. Hopefully, it will be less. They just know it's time to pray together as a family.
And I think the more that we practice this, the more that we like pour into this as a holy habit, as a spiritual discipline, like they say, practice makes perfect. And like the more that we do it, the more familiar we get with it, and they do as well as kids. But also it takes that awkwardness away. I think for a lot of people, it feels uncomfortable and unfamiliar, and there's this awkward feeling about it. The more that we pour into that though and lean into it,
Yes.
the more that that's removed, and we can really then focus on the prayer itself and going deeper in that.
That's right. Number 4, be okay with family prayer time looking a little messy.
Yeah, I think there's an expectation that it's always going to be like perfect angels with folded hands and eyes closed, and I don't know what universe that exists on, because
If
that's
you have kids like that, what did you do?
good for you, man. But that's not our family.
No.
It's like it's a gong show, and I think like we need to be okay with that imperfection, because family's messy, and there's going to be the 3 or 4-year-old that's going to be like throwing a temper tantrum, and there'll be the kid that's lipping off to you in the middle of the prayer and is like, ugh, and you're like, go to your room. Like that is going to happen.
Real life.
It's real life and it's messy. That's also how we teach them the reverence and the respect
Yes.
that prayer demands.
As our kids grow, it's kind of neat to see them like show more reverence. And as much as we teach our 3-year-old, okay, this is what this looks like. Let's close our eyes. Let's fold our hands. As they get older, it's so wonderful to see like the hard work pay off.
Yeah.
So now our oldest daughter, do we have to remind her? Sometimes she comes a little
Sometimes.
grumpy. Sometimes, just like we come to
that's
Jesus
true.
grumpy.
It's very true.
But like
Or
you
tired.
can see, or tired, you can see their growth in their reverence to Jesus.
Yeah.
But it doesn't start that way. It starts messy. It starts grumpy.
It's a reality. And like I remember a beautiful time when I took a couple of my daughters to Adoration of the Blessed Sacrament, and we were singing praise and worship songs, and I remember I was just strumming a little way on the guitar, and I look over at my one daughter and she's just like hands raised up to the Blessed Sacrament, just praying away, and I'm like, can you believe this? She's actually doing it.
We've come a long way.
And like those are those beautiful moments. And then, the next morning it's a complete gong show, right? Like you just, and so, but you have to start somewhere. And I think we need to just realize that it's okay if there are imperfections and some
Yes.
blemishes, and we have to be okay with the mess.
Right. And as parents, I feel like we have very high expectations. If your 3-year-old or 4-year-old's doing the sign of the cross like this,
Yeah.
they're attempting, they're trying. Like
Yeah.
I feel like we also need to not be so hard on our kids, but show them. I mean, keep on doing it the right way, and eventually they will get it. Don't let the little mishaps really hurt
Yeah.
your prayer time.
It's less about going through the motions and more about the heart.
Yes.
Right? And Jesus meets us in the mess. That's the reality of it. Like
so
there's
thankful.
there's beauty even in the messy moments. And so be okay with that.
Yes.
Number 5, try to eliminate distractions. And the way that we've done this is like sometimes we actually will tell our kids, we'll be like, you need to close your eyes right now.
Hold your
Like-
hands,
like,
close your eyes.
You need to just stop doing what you're doing and just close your eyes. Or other times we'll hand out rosaries. We have this big giant bowl of rosaries because everybody, in my
Yes.
travels, when I speak at churches and stuff, everyone's like, you need more rosaries for your girls. And so we have probably 500 rosaries.
And all of them are pink.
Which is great. Yeah, it's true. And so we'll hand out rosaries and be like, yeah, just hold on to this. And they can use it like a fidget spinner.
Yes.
But whatever, it was working to help them focus on on what it is that they're doing, which is they're praying to Jesus right in that moment.
And just think, even us as adults, when we're sitting in church, sometimes when we're praying, your brain, you can go off into just a little bit of a fairyland. If it's hard for us, think about how much more challenging it is for kids.
Yeah. But try and find creative ways of eliminating distractions and leading them back to what it is that we're doing, that we're trying to pray together.
Right, to really focus on what we're doing, and that's talking to Jesus.
Yeah.
Tip number 6, have the kids lead during prayer time.
Yeah.
I can tell you from experience, growing up, I was very nervous. And so if we're always just praying and our kids are praying with us and they're not actually being vocal, when they're asked to pray or when they want to go and pray in front of other people, there could be some tension there. There could be some nerves.
Yeah.
And we don't want that for our kids. We want them to be able to be like prayer warriors in front of people.
And it's our job as parents to grow up like young leaders, as Christians, to go out into the world and to lead others to Jesus. And how are we going to equip them to do that if they're always just following us and never are given the reins and the opportunity to take that responsibility on themselves?
Yes.
And, I want my kids to be able to go and just to be able to sit down with someone who's struggling and be like, hey, can I pray with you? And have the confidence and the courage to be able to do that. But if we never give them that opportunity, where are they going to learn it from? We will actually introduce our prayer times often with, like, what should we be praying for today? Who are the people in our lives that are struggling, or people that are in need of healing, or what are we thankful to God for? So that it's actually like this intentional reminder for them that prayer and that our faith isn't a spectator sport. Like, we're not just there watching somebody else's faith, but we're actually meant to participate in it of ourselves.
Right. And even when we ask them to lead, it also helps them stay focused.
And engaged.
Yes. So it's not just like, okay, we're going to pray and my parents are going to pray and then it's over. Yeah. You know what? They need to kind of be on their toes.
And even the prescribed prayers. Like, I love giving them the opportunity and saying, like, okay, just each of you pick one prescribed prayer that you want to lead us in. Yes. Or when we pray the Chaplet of Divine Mercy, we will have them each lead one of the prayers as part of the decade. And we have 5 kids, and so they each take a turn. They get to do it twice, and it's great. It's this opportunity for them to really take the reins on themselves. Finally, number 7 is the importance of leading by example. Like, we need to demonstrate to our kids that faith is important to us and prayer life is important to us. And
if they don't see us praying, why should they think that it's important?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like anything else. It's like brushing our teeth or eating our vegetables or anything in life. Is that if we diminish the importance of our faith, if we decide, hey, you know what, sports is more important than going to mass, or watching TV is more important than doing our morning prayer routine, or whatever it is, then they're going to learn from us that prayer isn't important.
Yes.
And that's not the message we want to give them.
Right. And as our jobs as parents to raise people that love Jesus, we need to show them how to do that. We need to show them how to build a relationship with Christ, which is praying.
And making sure that as parents, we are building up young leaders. And if it truly is important to us, why wouldn't we want our kids to have an active faith life, a prayer life with God? We hope that these 7 tips are helpful for you and your family. Maybe you have some more that you can offer up to the people that are watching this video, or for us to incorporate in our family. And if you do, make sure you comment below. Make sure you subscribe. And if you did find this helpful, I would love for you to share this video with people that might benefit from it as well.
There's a lot of people that don't know where to start when it comes to sitting down and praying as a family. And it can be so intimidating to take that step, to sit them all down and say, this is our new normal.
Yeah.
It can be terrifying.
Absolutely. And just have patience with it. God is a good, merciful God, and he's going to lead you and guide you. And if you offer him this little bit, even though it's messy and like chaotic and a gong show, he loves to hear from his kids, even when they're cranky.
Yes.
And so offer that to him, even in the mess. Lastly, we would love for you to consider supporting our ministry so that we could continue to provide these faith resources for free to the people that need it the most. And when you're a patron, you get all my music and talks and faith resources. You get all of that stuff and all the info at patreon.com/ChrisBray. Thanks so much. Talking about the virtues, or when you're reading the scriptures about like peace and love and mercy, and then you'll ask them questions and be like, I hate doing this. So kids, let's take today as an opportunity to live out the virtues. And be like, I'm so mad right now.
We've had this beautiful, peaceful prayer time, and then the minute it's over, dagger eyes.
What was that? That was like poop face. Like, oh, gotta go. that has happened too. Not just from the kids.
Oh man.